right, guys. Michael here with Dano, as usual, for another Bucks Island on tour. But this time, we're doing the ICAST edition, and we got a couple of guests. So I guess you could say we're combining Tech Tuesday and, the Bucks Island Lives talking about tackle and fishing. So we've got Israel, for those of y'all that maybe not watch our Tech Tuesdays, is in the house. And everybody that's been up in the loft should know Colin. So these guys got to make a trip down to, from what I hear, Angler's Heaven, though it was a little muggy. It's probably better than going to Disney World if you're into fishing. So I'm going to basically stop talking and sit here and listen and learn with you guys. But they got to see a lot of the cool new products that are out there. So I'll kick it over to you, Dano. Where do you want to start as you're the seasoned vet of ICAST?
Well, I think what we should do, guys, is I want, and everybody will have a little different perspective on it. Let's start with Colin, and then we'll go to Israel and then to myself with 2 or 3 products that really kind of made an impact on you. And it'll have different reasoning for each of us, obviously. But let's kind of give people some highlights, Colin, on what you thought were the top 2 or 3 products that you found on the show floor.
I'll do that, Dan. Thank you. First of all, I want to impress upon people the enormity of this event. It was, I went in expecting something huge, but this thing was bigger than I thought. Had to be about a half-mile square. It was amazing. Great vendors, great people. Probably the first thing that jumped off the counter to me was the new Lose Elite TI and Pro TI reels. They've been redesigned. The body is, I don't know, is it a little smaller, Dano? Maybe than the... Yeah,
and the Elite TI is a brand new reel. That's the first time that they've done that. So the Pro TI is a redesign, yeah.
Yeah, they really look great. They've got kind of a slicker coating to them. I just thought they looked great. The price point to me seems like it's going to be really competitive in that market. And then on day 2, we ran past a booth from a company called Spike It, and they sell dye, and they sell this like vulcanizing glue or however it works. You can kind of, it's not glue though, actually. It's an adhesive that puts your bait back together. They had dye for your leaders. They had dye markers, is mostly what it was, in an assortment of colors, and it just looked really convenient, kind of an excellent alternative to some of the products that are on the market now. And I was really impressed with them. What about you?
I guess mostly what I was impressed with was the enormity of it, and getting to see all the pros, that we've seen here. It was cool seeing people I knew that were from Bucks Island, and interacting with them, and how many people knew who we were. I was very impressed with, the knowledge of who we were. There,
hey, not just who we were, but let me just say about Dano, we couldn't take him 10 feet. It was about every 10 feet, someone's like, Dano! And so we had to break up with Dano a couple times so we could actually go see the show.
That's right. Yeah. And so, I got to stop by and see the bait fuel people because we deal with the bait fuel. And then Art was there with Spear Point, which was cool. And he's got some new products out, some new hooks, and got to see those firsthand.
And Art is our new neighbor.
Yeah,
he loves Bucks Island so much he moved all the way across from California to come.
He's a local boy
right here in our.
And he's trying to recruit. He's trying to recruit some Callies to come to hang out with us more. So. But got to see some new soft plastics from a few different companies that I liked. I got a few of them. I'm going to try them. I don't know how well they're going to do. And then got to see the Hobie booth, one of the passports that they're making in Rotor Mall now, where normally they had them, I guess, sandwiched together. So
yeah, I think that's going to be a real good starter boat. I won't say cheap because if it says Hobie on it, everybody knows it's not going to be cheap.
It's inexpensive,
good quality
by their standards.
Right. It'll be a good starter fishing boat if you want to get into the Hobie line.
Right. And I think everybody, it's somewhere out there, every booth or somebody had either a new pair of pliers or a new thing to cut some line with or a new knife. So there's a bunch of knives and pliers out there, and I even got to see a pair of titanium $800 titanium pliers. If you're into that kind of
Yeah.
Well,
we don't. Well, I'm not sure that's our market.
No, you never know.
One thing I will say as you're talking is obviously you get on, as a technician here. Was there any equipment, gadgetry besides pliers? Which it's of course you would notice those, but
Right,
any other cool kit that you saw that you
I did see a nice little, and this goes back to kayaks again. I saw like a budget kind of propulsion system that one of the vendors had. I thought that was really cool, and it comes with a battery. It comes with a remote control, and you steer it either with a handle or you steer it with your rudder. But it looked like a good price point product.
$1,700 for the
$11.99.
$11.99. It was a modular battery kit. You could power all kind of different things with it, but their primary design function was for basically a small trolling motor, like a sort of a budget Torpedo, if that's the way to put it.
And then I got to meet with one of the battery companies out there. I think it was Lithium Battery Company. I think that's the name of it.
Lithium Battery Company with their new setup that was actually pretty cool. It's pricey but cool.
And then I got to learn a little bit more about the way they build their batteries a little bit different than everybody does, and that guy was more of a technical kind of guy, so that communicated to me well. And they laser that instead of like using like a soldering tool or a spot welder on theirs, they actually use a laser machine to put all their stuff together. They have a cloud a way to diagnose a battery issue. And it's on the cloud. As long as your phone's hooked up to it, it's sending them live data. So they would actually know if there's something wrong with your battery before you even do it, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Weren't the cases 3D printed, or?
For the stackable batteries, they were 3D printed. The regular batteries were encased in the normal.
It's crazy where
interesting
going. So, well, Dan, what were your thoughts? Because I know this was this was what your second time going to ICAST.
1.5. 1.5. No, this. I've been every year since 2005, and initially because of our travel schedule, I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to make it, but to be able to find a way to get down there and be able to be there with the guys was just to be there and experience the way that we work as a team together on a floor like that was really cool, and I was the parachute. I slowed them down. But
in a good way.
It was awesome. Actually.
Well, it sounds like you and Fat Cat got a little distracted by finding snacks. So there is.
Oh, we're fat. We're fat. Actually, he's not so much. That dude's lost a bunch of weight. I've lost a little bit of weight, but he's lost a bunch. He looks great. But also just personally, every year since 2005, what is that, like 18 in a row or something? I don't remember now. But that battery that Israel's talking about, you can fit 2.5 in the space of this case, and it's only, what was it, like 4 inches tall, Israel, if you had one cell?
4 or 5 inches, yeah.
But you could fit 3 Group 31s across it, actually 2.5, but it was programmable to 12, 24, 36, or 48 volt, and then you could stack them and rig them in series on the side so that you could make even, rig them in parallel so that you could boost your hours, and then you program the whole thing. That was a pretty unique system. To me, the soft plastics make a lot of the biggest impacts in the marketplace every year, and there were some really great soft plastics out there. I really like the Missile Baits Chunky D, which takes the mini D chunk flappers for that jig trailer that they made, and it puts it into a bulkier flipping product. I thought that was a great piece. Of course, we're all partial to the spear point hooks with Art. What I liked about some of the companies, you start seeing them expand a little bit more. Strike King went into saltwater a little bit, which won't impact us, but you start seeing the companies expand a little bit. Spro expand their product line into saltwater. They're all doing plastics now. Corey Johnson and the Johnson brothers, they helped Spro design a soft plastic drop shot bait that they actually used at that St. Lawrence tournament that I was up there. That was a good bait. Lots of swim baits that came out. 13 Fishing did. I don't know about you guys, but one of the more innovative reels that I saw was that new Arc, the Series 3 or whatever they're calling those things. Those reels, what do they call them? Gravity, and then they went 3, 5, and 7 or something.
And that's the first
unique
arc reel, or the first
it is.
arc has come out, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and that's
It is, yeah.
Design too. They've got a little bit different braking system.
Yeah, and they
pull the things out when you open up the side.
Well,
That's the one that
the deal is that most reels, they have the magnets facing the spool like this, so the magnets are on this facing side. Art designed a barrel out of the side of the spool, and the braking system was on two. As you adjusted them, they pinched closer to the spool, and so you actually got the magnets on a much more smooth and more contact surface point, so you could be a little bit more fine with it. I thought that was really unique. They also had on their top two of their models, there was a line indicator, size indicator on them. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well,
those little touches make
about those from West Logan,
and that's one of the reasons why we stopped, because
we're waiting on those.
Yeah, that was his rods are going to be neat. They're just the unfortunate thing about ICAST these days is with the supply chain, it's harder to get products to make. So a lot of companies, they try to go more mainstream and less. Let's try to make something super different. So they try to make a take on something. They're called Me Too products, but there was still some innovation that. That reel is a big deal, and Louis, the guy that owns Arc, he's all about being different and finding something unique. The biggest thing for me, being a guy that's been so many times, is seeing, and Colin brought this up, is it's not the normal show. It's a business show, and you go into it. In the first year that I went into it thinking of it. I've been in 10,000 consumer shows, working booths for people, and you're talking to customers. It's a completely different show. It's a business show, and the size of it is really impressive. The numbers of booths that are there. When you're seeing booths from, 200 to the 5,000 series, and I know it's numbering of rows, and it's not like there's 5,000 booths, but there's a bunch, and you can go from this end to that end, and to see the people's face when they walk into that and go, "Whoa!" I always like seeing that, and I got to see that from the guys.
There was a fishing tank the size of an 18-wheeler. And they were standing up on thing fishing, demonstrating lures and product and casting techniques and things like that. But you walk by, and this is maybe later on in day one when I saw this, I was like, of course there's a fishing tank this size. It made perfect sense here, because by the time I'd seen that, I was like, this place is so huge, and I look over, well, there's a fishing tank. It's the size of an 18-wheeler, and there's a man up there teaching us all how to fish his lure, And so, just neat sights were around every corner. It was really crazy. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun to see Colin experience the hog trough, which is what that's called. That's the seminar tank. They call it the hog trough. Yeah.
Okay.
It was neat to see that response. I don't know. I that's the thing I get the most out of this sport for myself personally, is getting to share things with people. Whether it's a technique, whether it's an experience, whether it's, a rigging thing or something, is getting to share. And to me, that's the biggest impact. But yes, there are products that are going to make a difference for you guys on the shelves this year.
Well, I'm sure. So we're ordering one of everything that you saw.
We're on board for everything.
No, it's definitely it's the amount of stuff that you could get in there. So props to the guys, and you're looking at particularly one of them. He's right there. To be able to filter through as the Loft has come to fruition, and now I know Colin's getting in there and getting after figuring out products. So It's fun. It's fun to see you guys kind of excited about getting out of the shop and going and seeing some cool stuff out there and coming back. Kind of excited.
Yeah.
So
energized.
Yeah, and we're working on doing some more exclusive colors too. So.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
I mean it's a great. Well, I mean you mentioned missile baits and. Obviously, we love John as John Cruz as a pro staffer. And man, I have seen going to Bass University and watching him, particularly when he gives that in-depth seminar. I mean, he is a student of. I mean, he's not just cranking out baits. He is a student of fishing and of fish behavior and of baits and pretty fascinating stuff. If you really want to get in the technical side of it. So,
well, and just to round things out a little bit, there's companies that don't go to ICAST. It is a very expensive proposition to be there, even as a vendor, even as a media guy, as I've done in the past, or as buyers. There's a lot of expense to it. So some companies don't go, and there's some products that have been released that are released around the ICAST stuff that are not necessarily ICAST releases. We've already got one of them in the Action Innovations Fat Flirt, which is an 8¼ inch flirt worm. That's in there. And for you guys that like to fish offshore, Magnum shaky heads, big Nico rigs, that kind of stuff, take a look at that. We've got those in the loft in quantity. I know Colin's been selling quite a bit of those already.
Fat flirts.
Some really unique colors.
Those have been great. The fat flirts.
That's one that was released. I know Picasso Lures has released some stuff that they weren't at ICAST. So there's some stuff out there. What I would ask, and I'm sure what Colin would ask, if you guys have been in the loft, we've put a lot into a tight space. And Colin and Jamie, they do everything they can to get every 1/4 inch of peg space into there. Is drop a line to somebody and let them know the products that you saw that you might be interested in. Because that helps us kind of refine down the new, because we want to bring new stuff in, but we can't bring everything in. I know one thing, Colin, I forgot to bring up that I know we're bringing in is that new, what did Rapala, it's in Ott's OG series.
It's the new OG. It's fat or slimmer, but they've got a new one, and we're carrying at least 8 of those. I think.
Let me. You know what? I'm just going to take a minute and look that up because that is it's a balsa bait, but it's Rapala's. It's Rapala's consistency of construction, which really makes the baits work the way that they should.
How great was
Really
yeah, that's cool too, is seeing the booth sizes.
All right, well, I got a couple things to say. One of the things that was really most fun for me was that I knew Dano had gone to these shows before, and Dano's kind of an industry guy, but seeing the amount of genuine love these guys had for him. Like I said, we had to dump him several times so we could go walk around, but it wasn't just like people walking up and, hey, Dano, how you doing, and shaking their hand. There would be people calling from 7 or 8 booths away, a 1/4 of a mile, hey, Dano, and, it was just kind of neat to see that, and having Dano be associated with Bucks Island and kind of leading Israel and I along and holding our hand, especially the first day, where it's like, here's kind of how you should do this, and I just really appreciate that personally. It meant a lot to me, and it was super eye-opening just to see kind of who you are, at a place like that. It made me proud to walk beside you, It was cool.
It was.
Well, I hope you guys can all see it. Bucks Island's family to me, they were the moment we moved to Rainbow City, and it's an honor for me to be able to be a part of this team. So to be down there, and every time for the last 4 years I've gone down there, that it's been, Bucks Island's a part of my, my brand, whatever you want to say, for, lack of a better thing, but my family. And it was fun to be down there and introduce people to you, because it means so much to me, and know all the stuff that we've done. And more importantly, to hear people that say, oh, we see you guys on Facebook.
Right, yeah.
I mean, the amount of people that said something.
So you would introduce us, and it'd be like, oh, yeah, we know who Bucks Island
Yeah,
is.
they did. They knew who we were.
Yeah.
And to specifically know Israel from Tech Tuesday. and to know Michael from
And Michael, no, that
from being
definitely knew him
from
too.
being no, and there were people that mentioned him, and even some of the vendors said people in Washington State know who we are from seeing us on Facebook. And there's people that actually leverage their dealerships up there because I'll drive down to Bucks Island and get what I want if you can't give me the price I want. And that kind of stuff was kind of fun to hear. And
hey now, give us a shot.
well, we just need to figure out how to geofence a different price point for the West Coast, apparently, because apparently we're way too low for the West Coast. Anyway, just kidding. But that bait was the Rocco.
Okay.
The OG Rocco, remember? And it's a little bit smaller but chunkier, give you a better profile or a bit better wobble, wider wobble. So that's something Ott Defoe came up with, and that's the bait. We do have some of those on order. We kind of tried to really pick, regionally specific type colors that we thought would be good in that one. We sat there with our rep doing that. So
Shout out
that
to
was
Jones, Vaughn Jones.
Vaughn Jones.
Got two last names.
Vaughn Jones, yeah. So, Dano, tell us, I know you're normally there as a media guy, so tell us what it was like to be there primarily as a buyer.
You think about it differently because you think about, instead of going in and thinking about, okay, how many videos can I get and how many new products can I find, looking at it from that perspective, especially with our need to conserve space, because it would be real easy to go in and say, I'll take 3 of these, 4 of those, 2 of these, 6 of these, 7 of those. We just don't have the room to do that.
That one right there, forget about it.
Yeah, you go in there, you go in there like, forget about it. Oh, okay, take 2 of those. But the to go in and find the right product. Yes, we do have online sales that Colin runs. And yes, we could sell everything that's on that floor. But the first and foremost reason for the Loft is to serve our customer. That's our local customer first and foremost. So to find the product that fits our area, say, little below Gunnersville, but there's Tackle Trap that does a great job. They're going to have their stuff. So we got to look at our specific region. And I think it's different when you're mining the products to see what fits us and what we can do to better serve our customers, rather than just let me get as much information as I can on the breadth of product out there. That's a little different perspective. And that's, I think that's the biggest difference for me in that vein was that.
Well,
because it's not, let me add this, because it's not looking of what I like.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're going in as a media person, I'm looking for as much information as I can, and I'm looking at what I like. What I need to do as a buyer is think about, okay, Collins, we've tried this, we've tried this, we've tried this. This works, this didn't. What delivers for our customer, and what do we see our customer wanting? So trying to take my style or even my media presence out of it and putting the customer in the place of that. That's the biggest difference.
Well, I guess that's a pretty thorough recap of what you guys went down there experienced, and we'll definitely link up some of the stuff if we've got it in. As always with these Bucks Island on Tours, if you click, if you're watching it on YouTube or wherever, head on over to Shop Bucks Island. I'll have a collection put together. So the tackle we're talking about, if we've already got it in and got it up online, then it's all right there and easy to look through. And of course, we can add into that as things go along. But I guess the last thing to do is, Dano, you're still in the Great North, and what's the next stop for you?
We're actually at Lake Champlain right now. The Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit here starts tomorrow. So we'll get a video with the winner there, and then head towards the Bass Pro Tour at Lake Cayuga, one of the Finger Lakes, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
I got one more thing.
I do too, actually. You go first.
All right, I'm gonna ask myself this question. Okay, then y'all,
Go ahead.
it can be for y'all too. Did y'all see anyone there that you weren't expecting to see there or meet?
I think I know where you're going
And so
with this.
mine is, I sat down the last morning, to eat breakfast, and right in front of me is like Bill Dance, and I'm like, look, it's Bill Dance, And then afterwards he came up and like we were at different tables, but he came up and talked to Dano and the lady that was with him was talking to him, and he's like, "How you doing, sir?" And I was like, "I know who you are. You're Bill Dance." Yeah. So Colin was like, "Who's Bill Dance?"
Honestly, did not know who he was.
And so, but that's okay. Now you do.
Rode up in the elevator with him after
So-
all of this. I tried to sneak out.
And was there anybody there you saw that you weren't expecting?
It was cool because being at Bucks Island, we get to rub elbows with some pretty great pros, and so I've met some cool guys. But I got to meet Mike Iaconelli, who, as someone who's kind of newer to the fishing industry, was neat because he was the first guy that I knew his name because of his on-screen presence, which is immense. And got to meet him, and you talk about just a nice guy, man. He was just as real as rain. Took the time to shake my hand and chew the fat just for a minute, which I thought was cool. And that was a recurring theme at the show, is just kind of how accessible and cool these guys were. You don't expect somebody like, say, a Scott Canterbury or Mike Iaconelli or these really iconic names in the business just to be regular guys, and they were. It was really cool. But my last thing is to each of y'all, who was your best in show? Which booth was the best booth for y'all?
Wow.
Of course, the retail display guy goes for the.
I already know what I'm going to say.
Well, hey,
And there was
and that's
You're gonna say
that's fine.
That was good. That was good. That was top three.
Like I can't give you my best booth, but I can give you some impressive ones. 13 Fishing,
That was
is
Good one.
it's massive.
There's a bunch of big-
Lose and Strike King did a new back-to-back
They're great.
build that's an office in the middle that's like 15 feet tall, and their displays going out on the side. That's pretty impressive. The Humminbird and Minn Kota Johnson Outdoors booths are always impressive with the size. I hate to sound like a homer, but when you take small space and see what people can do with it, when Spearpoint finally got their display in that they wanted, the way that they did with that arced glass table out there, that with their backdrop, that turned out pretty cool.
That was the
And
best
then
booth
Missile
of
Bait.
its size.
and Missile Bay. They did
This was
pretty
good.
Missile Baits put that office in the middle of a booth. Yeah, that was pretty cool too.
Costa booth was pretty cool. It was like a condominium. It was 2 stories. It was a hutch or something. I don't know. I thought
And that's their meeting space upstairs.
And Iowa's was great.
Daiwa had the best booth,
Yeah.
guys, and that's just my opinion.
And I would
it
say
was
probably
massive.
the most active booth.
Packed. When you
All
walked
the time.
by, it was always packed. I got to meet Ish Monroe, which was really neat. The first time I met him. And again, just as real as rain, just a regular guy, just a really famous regular guy. But I thought that Daiwa booth was amazing. I did.
Well,
What about you?
Well, it's been the same booth for the last 4 years, so it didn't. I've seen it, so it was.
Okay.
That's why it didn't come up in my head. But yes,
I
it
would
is impressive.
say the best booth for the size was probably the Missile Bay because he did a lot with a little.
Yeah, it's good.
So,
Good booth.
So I'll give him a shout out. Because I mean, walking around, there's so much stuff there. And
Just
you walk
all
around
blends
and
together.
it all blends together blind. But every time I walked down that aisle, I saw Missile Bay. Like it was just like Missile Bay. So
It jumped off the
it
shelf.
jumped off the
Yeah.
shelf at me. So I was impressed with that.
And it was because we had to go through there so many times. So many of the stuff that we were taking meetings with or making decisions on we all seemed to kind of go by there too a lot. So you just happened to notice it.
And I'll say shout out to Bahio for knocking Costa off the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
Yeah, so there you go.
That is a big deal on that awards, the best of show. I think honestly, Costa's won at least the last dozen years for best of show, and Bahio to beat them was. I mean, you guys saw me at the table when the awards came out. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And that's who was eating breakfast with.
That was the team eating breakfast with Bill Dance.
Melinda Mize, yes, sir.
sounds like y'all had an experience and got to see a lot of cool stuff. Look forward to getting it in. I will. You talking about the Minn Kota hummingbird stuff and stuff coming out around the ICAST time. A new target lock. So, sit down. I hope you're sitting down as you're listening to this. We have them in stock. They released that, they put it out there, and here we are just a couple of weeks later, and we've got a few of those target locks in stock, sitting in parts. Probably won't last long, but that's pretty cool to see. And I think that's a good demonstration of a lot of the manufacturers dealing with the world that they have to deal with right now. And trying to keep customers happy and not frustrate you for getting something cool out there and then not having it available. So we do have some of those target lock. We did a little quick clip with Matt Heron on that before he headed up to New York. I am sure that we will get some good video of that setup and system. It's pretty cool. So, and I'm sure we're going to get a bunch of questions coming about it. So, all right. Well, I guess we're going to wrap this one up. So probably the best thing to do, we'll get as much of it, together and linked up. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put it on shopbucksisland.com. You go find this episode of Bucks Island on Tour, and I'll try and get some links to some of the manufacturers and some of the cool products that they've got. So, all right. That's another one in the books. Dan, be safe in your travels. Have fun out there. Don't play too hard. Work too hard. Sorry. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. But don't miss. If you're looking for the fishing reports, we'll get those out. Even with Dan on the road, we've been doing a good job. Our guys have participated with us and gotten good information in, even though we're in the dead of summer. And then, of course, Tech Tuesdays. And then some pretty cool boat products coming down the pipe that looking forward to getting some videos put together for you guys so you can see some of the new stuff in action. So, Dan, be safe, guys. Get back to work. And we'll talk to y'all later. See ya.
See you, buddy.
See ya.